Well, we have an interesting project today. This lamp was sent by a customer because they had a little bit of a wreck, and the bottom or tail or stem, as you may prefer, has been knocked off of the lamp. It's been bent up, and they want this all put back together correctly and made whole again. This is an unusual lamp in that it was made by the White Manufacturing Company. Now, this lamp is of a classic design as far as the frame and the tail goes. Someone's obviously worked this lamp over and shined it up and repainted it. And they probably had the head off, and when they put it back on, they didn't line up the seams. So typically those seams would have lined up, and they would have been right up the center of the back of the lamp, as well as the seam in the tail would have been the same way. Sometimes they lined the seams up along the door side, but oftentimes they were lined up on the side that faced the vehicle. I said the lamp is unusual, and some of that has to do with the head. The style and quality of the head is not completely congruous with the rest of the lamp. The lamp itself is typical of a mid to late 1800s white manufacturing lamp, but the head is more consistent with an early 1900s lantern. It has crimped rather than soldered seams. It has a ring on the top, and it's a bit out of proportion to the rest of the lamp. Another thing that's unusual about this lamp is this candle cap. It's not actually a candle cap. It's an oil burner with a fake candle cap over the top of it. And as you can see, this candle cap is engraved C.P. Kimball of Chicago. That was a top-end Carriage sales house. They didn't actually make things like lamps, but they bought the best and sold the best. Down inside this tail is the actual bottom of the oil burner. And if we screw out the tail, we can look in here and see down inside is the bottom of the oil pot. I'm going to start out by removing this box off the bottom of the lamp and straightening all that out, and we'll see where we go from there. First, I'll get the bottom of the oil pot taken out of the center of this tail. Whenever you're trying to solder something, the first trick is to get it as clean as possible. And now I'll make sure that it fits snugly, but not too tightly, into the tail where it belongs. New wicks are in order. A wick should reach all the way to the bottom of the oil pot and maybe a little more. We'll go ahead and
cotton wadding around this wick all the way to the bottom so that it will be able to absorb oil even when the level gets low. I use folded up paper towels to wipe off the excess solder on parts that I've taken apart. The only thing you have to be careful of is to make sure they're not smoldering when you throw them in a trash can. Now that I have all these pieces removed and I've cleaned off the excess solder remaining after the dismantling and sandblasted them all off so they're clean and I can see what's going on, I can get them straightened out back to their original conformations. I use different materials as an anvil when I'm straightening these pieces of metal. The hard rubber block will allow the metal to stretch and distend and move out from my hammer blow, whereas the steel plate causes the metal to flatten and straighten out under each blow of the hammer. Sometimes I can actually feel the imperfections easier than I can see them. I use small wedges to adjust the tail and make sure that it's straight and square with the lamp. This type of lamp is mounted to the carriage in a socket that goes over that brass portion of the tail that you see here. The bottom of the lamp is constructed in a way that employs several different layers of metal that spread the stress out from the tail to the bottom of the lamp, strengthening it. I've already soldered the mounting tube to the outside of the bottom of the lamp, and now I'm going to solder the candle tube to the inside bottom of the lamp. These two solder joints are about 1/4 inch apart and already start adding some strength to this assembly. Next comes an inner cone that'll be soldered a couple of inches further out on the bottom of the lamp and an inch or so higher on the tail. I'm going to add a ring of number 10 electrical wire, just simple copper wire, to close the gap between that bottom cone and the tail. It just will make a stronger joint. Next comes this shallow pan that will be soldered at the outer edges of the frame or box of the body and at the center around the tail itself. This will give us 3 points of contact well soldered on the lamp frame or body and on the tail. This cup will add yet a 4th layer of reinforcement to this tail assembly. This ring is the final component. It ties the whole assembly together and serves as a stop so that the lamp fits down into the socket on the carriage just the right amount and will be held snugly. The painting process that I'm going to go through here is quite a bit different than what you see going on in the background on my bench here. I'm going to mask off this entire lamp except for the part that I actually took the paint off of. And I'll prime it and paint it with some high quality rattle can paint just to get everything protected.
Well, we've got the masking off and the touch-up painting is done. It's not intended to be a finished paint job, but just to touch it up, cover up the bare metal and preserve it until this whole lamp would be repainted and refinished to look like new. But it's all repaired, ready to go. And we'll go ahead and send this on back to the owner.
I hope you enjoyed the video.